We talking about the difference. NAFTA, official name, North American Free Trade Agreement. USMCA, the United States Mexico Canada Agreement. Members country, United States, Mexico, Canada, UMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada.
Now I will talk about the objectives and years of application. Well, one key difference between NAFTA and USMCA lies in their objectives and the time they were implemented. NAFTA, which began on January 1st, 1994, aimed to eliminate barriers to trade and investment between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. In contrast, the USMCA came into force on July 1st, 2020, with a more modern goal to create balanced, reciprocal trade and supports high-paying jobs and strengthens the North American economy.
I'm going to talk about the economic sectors. We include the automotive sector in the NAFTA. The automotive sector experienced a significant growth due to the tariff eliminations. So, and also the integrated supply chains across the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Automakers could move parts and vehicles across the borders and tariff free if they met a 62.5 North America content requirement, leading to increased manufacturing in Mexico due to the lower labor cost. In contrast, at the USMCA, they introduce uh, more rules requiring 75% more auto parts to be sourced within the North America. Also, labor provisions require that 40 to 45% content be made by workers earning at least $60 per hour, pushing some production back to the US and Canada. This change aimed to protect the US manufacturing jobs but at compliancy costs for automakers. And at the agriculture sector, under the NAFTA, greatly boost agricultural trade. US exports to Mexico and Canada more than twice. Also, the tariff were eliminated, sorry, to access to give free access to the market. And however, this led to criticism, especially in Mexico, because the corn and other agricultural products are cheaper in Mexico, and they were affected due to this tariff. Meanwhile, in the UMCA, this maintains tariff-free access for most agricultural products, and also the key updates include greater US access to Canada dairy market, opening up about 3.6% of it, and stronger sanitary and phytosanitary rules based on science to reduce trade barriers and enhance biotechnology provisions for GMO products and dispute resolution mechanisms. So basically, the NAFTA facilitated the deep economic integrations and trying to modernize the agreement, especially by tightening auto industry rules to favor US labor, and updating agricultural trade protections and standards.
I'm going to talk about the difference in digital commerce. While NAFTA was created before the rise of the digital economy, it didn't include rules for online trader or digital consumer protection. The USMCA updated this by adding a full digital trade chapter, while protects data flows, ban digital tariffs, and includes provisions for online consumer protection like privacy and fraud prevention. The USMCA modernized trade rules to fit the realities of today's digital world. And while in labor provisions, NAFTA addressed labor rights in a side agreement, but it lacked strong enforcement. This meant countries could often ignore violations without real consequences. In contrast, the USMCA includes labor provisions with the main agreement and makes them enforceable. It guarantees rights like collective bargaining, bans forced labor, and introduces the rapid response labor mechanism to quickly address violation at specific facilities. And the USMCA turns labor rights from a suggestion into a requirement, ensuring fairer treatment for workers across North America.
Environmental provisions. NAFTA didn't have a dedicated environmental chapter in the main agreement. Environmental issues were addressed in a separate site. The agreement called it the North American Agreement of Environmental Cooperation. The USAMCA includes a full environment chapter in the chapter 24.
Well, we're talking about the sunset clauses, and unlike NAFTA, which didn't have an expiration clause, they used making clause what called sunset clauses, and this means the agreement lasts for 16 years, but every 6 years the member countries have to meet and review it to decide if they want to renew it, and it's kind of like setting a reminder to check if the deal is still working well or if it needs changes.
Intellectual property. Um, it's a capacity rules project new inventors, brand names, and book or music. This was because it helped people and companies their ideal safe. Um, but the word changes along. We use computers and the internet every day. Last I was all during have rules and use new things. Um, so the USMCA came along. It's like underpaid version. It has a strength and never used for reals. For example, gives along project for books, music, and movies. Um, it helps project new ideas for medicines or companies what to make